Magandang umaga, Malacañang Press Corps. Magandang umaga rin po sa ating mga guest speaker. Kasama po natin ngayon si Finance Assistant Secretary Tony Lambino para ipakilala po ang mga panauhin natin ngayong umaga.
Magandang umaga sa lahat at welcome po sa ating weekly economic press briefing co-hosted by the Economic Development Cluster and PCOO. Bago tayo mag-umpisa, gusto ko pong ibalita sa ating mga tagapanood at tagapakinig na certified as urgent na po ang Senate Bill 2233, ang syntax bill ng Senado na bubuuin po ang pagpondo sa ating Universal Healthcare Law. Ito po ay sinusuportahan ng DOH, ng DOF, ng civil society at mga health advocates. Ang panukalang ito ay may bersyon na po na nakapasa sa House of Representatives at kasalukuyang pinagdedebatihan sa period of interpellation sa Senado. Muli, nais po naming pasalamatan ang mga mambabatas na sumuporta sa pagsulong ng reformang ito, lalo na kina Senator Ejercito, Senator Pacquiao, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Ontiveros, at si Senator Angara, ang chair ng Ways and Means Committee. Kabilang sa 0 to 10-point socio-economic agenda ng Duterte administration ang investment sa kalusugan at edukasyon, pati na rin ang rural and value chain development sa pamamagitan ng pagpapalago at pagpapaangat ng productivity ng ating agricultural at rural enterprises, pati na rin ang rural tourism. Ang mga panauhin natin ngayon ay narito upang talakayin ang mga programa ng gobyerno na tumutugon sa El Niño. Tatalakayin din nila ang maaring asahang lagay ng panahon sa mga darating na buwan. Ibabahagi ng ating mga panauhin ang posibleng epekto ng weather forecasts na ito sa ating agrikultura at ekonomiya. Makakasama natin sina Undersecretary Ariel Cayanan ng Department of Agriculture, Undersecretary Renato Solidum ng Department of Science and Technology, Deputy Administrator Flaviana Hilario ng PAGASA, at Undersecretary Adoracion Navarro ng NEDA. Ibabahagi po nila ang ilang mga update mula sa pamahalaan at magbibigay linaw sa ilang pahayag patungkol sa mga programa at polisiya na may kinalaman sa El Niño at agrikultura. Yusek Solidum.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ang Department of Science and Technology po sa pamamagitan ng PAGASA ay magbibigay sa inyo ng sitwasyon patungkol sa El Niño na nagsimula pa noong Oktubre 2018. At kahit umuulan, baka kailangan yung tanungin, may El Niño pa ba? At kung may El Niño pa, ay hanggang kailan ito magtatagal? Sa mga susunod na buwan, ilang bagyo ang ating inaasahan at dito po ito po ang maging basihan naman ng iba pang mga sangayan ng gobyerno sa kulang aksyon na kailangan nilang gawin. So, para po sa mas detalyeng pag-uulat, bibigay ko po yung mikropono kay Dr. Fabiana Hilario, Deputy Administrator ng PAGASA DOST.
Maraming salamat, Yusek. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Sabi na nga po ng ating Undersecretary Renato Solidum, ang ating pong nararanasang El Niño ay nag-umpisa siya noong October 2018. And according to the different models, it will likely continue until June, July, August of this year. With high probability around 70%. However, there is still a chance that it will continue until the end of this year, 2019. However, the uncertainty is quite high. So in this regard, we will give you update every month regarding this chance. During the last 4 months, the impacts of El Niño have been felt in many provinces in the country. Severe impacts of El Niño were manifested during the month of April, wherein 41 provinces were under drought condition, and 23 provinces were under dry spell. For the month of May, there were 40 provinces under drought conditions, while 6 provinces were under dry spell. For our forecast for the next 3 months, for the month of June, in terms of the rainfall conditions, generally near normal conditions, rainfall conditions will be experienced in many parts of the country, except for Apayao, most of Region 1, Cagayan, Tarlac, and Zambales, which will experience below normal rainfall condition. For the month of July, generally near normal to above normal rainfall conditions over most of Luzon and Visayas. However, generally below normal over most of Mindanao and Southern Visayas. And then for the month of August, generally near to above normal rainfall conditions over most parts of the country. By the way, July and August are the peak rainy months for the western portions of the country, which belong to type 1 climate. Based on our rainfall forecast, the onset of the rainy season for areas under type 1 climate, these are areas along the western side of the country, and this is associated with the habagat or southwest monsoon. It is expected to be during the first half of June. And in terms of our forecast on the number of tropical cyclones, from June to August, we are expecting around 5 to 8 tropical cyclones. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat sa ating PAGASA representative, and ang NEDA naman ay lead ng formulation of the El Nino Action Plan, and ipapakita ko sa inyong lahat ang naging resulta ng pag-formulate ng El Nino Action Plan. And I would like to also take this opportunity to acknowledge yung iba't ibang government agencies which helped in the NEDA-led formulation of the El Nino Action Plan. So ito ay actually isang ginawa ng task force na reactivated, no, from the 2015 El Nino Task Force, no. Next slide. Okay. And here I'm giving you context, no. Yung need to reactivate the NEDA-led El Nino Task Force was agreed upon na pag-usapan noong National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council and Presidential Management Staff High-Level Meeting noong March 20, given the information na may mga damages na malalaki na tayong na-experience. And the first order of business ng task force ay i-prepare nga itong 2019 El Nino Action Plan. So we were tasked to revisit yung roadmap noong 2015 to 2016 to ensure the roadmap's responsiveness to current conditions and challenges. And a series of technical working group meetings were held to formulate the framework, yung tinatawag nating expanded RAIN framework, or yung roadmap for addressing the El Nino's impacts. And noong May 15, nakumpleto na namin ng task force ang action plan na basically ito ay programa ng public investments to implement the interventions. And marami sa interventions na to are already continuing interventions of the government. Next slide. So ito yung assessment of damages, and this encapsulates na yung information na nasabi kanina ng PAGASA, and some information from the from the Department of Agriculture. And the impact of El Nino on GDP ay ito, based on the estimate of NEDA, we will have a reduction in the first semester of 2019 growth na dahil sa El Nino phenomenon na around 0.21 percentage points. So ito po yung estimate. Pero maiiwasan natin to kung talagang may implement natin ang mga interventions sa laban sa adverse effects of El Nino. And the weak El Nino phenomenon has been taken into consideration din sa revised 6 to 7% growth target for fiscal year 2019 as approved by the DBCC noong March 2019. Next slide. Dito naman ipinapakita ko ang expanded roadmap for addressing the impacts of El Nino. Paki-flash ang ating framework. Next slide, please. And the roadmap, which took off from the 2015 roadmap, ay in-expand namin to include water security in the critical areas of concern. Next slide, please. So the other critical areas of concern are food security, energy security, health, and public safety. So ulitin ko po, yung areas of concern na naging guide ng mga various government agencies in preparing the public investment program o yung programs, projects, and activities that will help address the impact of El Nino ay water security, food security, energy security, health, and public safety. Okay, next slide. Ano yung estimated investment requirements by area of concern? Okay. Sa water security, ang total requirement ay by the way, the total investment requirement ay 14.47 billion pesos. So the largest investment requirement is for food security. So that's to be expected. 11.55 billion or around 80% of the total investment ay para sa food security. Then followed by water security na 2.76 billion pesos or 19% of the total public investment requirement. Health accounts for 1.06% or 153.67 million pesos, while cross-cutting concerns ay 0.05% or 7.87 million pesos. Kasama dito sa cross-cutting concerns yung programa para sa water conservation. Yung energy sector and public safety, areas of concern, will have no funding requirements sapagkat yung mga proposed interventions dito ay regular activities ng mga ahensya kagaya ng Department of Energy, Bureau of Fire Protection, and others. Okay. Now, sa aming pag-uusap sa task force ay nakita kung alin yung talagang sigurado na ang may pondo o yung tinatawag na funded PPAs, programs, projects, and activities, at alin yung unfunded, wala pang pondo ngayon, pero ipoprograma at hahanapan ng sources, no, magkakaroon ng resource mobilization. So nakikita ninyo dito sa pina-flash na slide ang funded, no, yung agency's regular budgets meron ng sigurado na 5.8 billion pesos. Yung cost sharing kasama sa pag-share ang local government units ay meron ng 3.58 million pesos, and may commitments din ang private sector, particularly yung MWSS concessionaires na 236 million. And then ang unfunded requirements naman, sa susunod na slide please, ay ito yung mga proposed funding sources, no. Agencies regular budgets, hahanapan pa rin. And very important, National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund, no. So kailangan din kasing iprograma kung alin ang how much ang pwedeng ilagay sa El Nino, given that there are other rehabilitation programs that are competing with the NDRRM fund, no. And kasama din yung Quick Response Fund, isa rin itong possible source. So nandiyan naman yung Quick Response Fund, particularly Department of Health, pero kailangan ding iprograma, kailangan na ma-vet yung specific proposed uses of funds, and then ipoprogram or ililinya sa gamit ng DOH Quick Response Fund. Isa ring possible source ay ang BARM budget, and kasalukuyan na nagre-reach out ang national government agency sa mga bagong upo na opisyales ng BARM tungkol sa topic na ito. And then cost sharing, 15,281,000, private sector, 15,000, and to be determined sources, pag-uusapan namin together with the Department of Budget and Management ay 99 million pesos. Okay. Now, I'll give you a sample of the major programs, projects, and activities by area of concern. Next slide. So sa water security, ito yon, ang mga major PPAs ay rehabilitation of Angat Dam, installation of rainwater collection system, cloud seeding, implementation of various water supply and sanitation, construction and reactivation of deep wells. So mapapansin ninyo na ang mga karamihan sa mga ito ay ongoing interventions and magtutuloy-tuloy hanggat kailangan. Next slide. Sa food security area of concern naman, ito ang major PPAs, establishment of a groundwater pump irrigation project, repair of groundwater pump irrigation systems, provision of hybrid seeds under the rice program, provision of fertilizers and soil ameliorants, provision of crop insurance, rice subsidy, at saka cash for work program. Okay. Sa energy security, so again, walang funding requirement kasi regular activities nila to. So ang major PPAs ay derating of units with a high temperature, implementation of preventive measures scheduled to ensure the units are in good running condition, improvement of genset air ambient temperature. Okay, next slide. Sa area of concern naman sa health, ito ang major PPAs, procurement of medical supplies, drugs and medicines, procurement of fogging machines and spray cans, procurement of commodities, infant and young child feeding, micronutrient supplementation, and management of acute malnutrition, provision of temporary shelters, provision of reagents for water testing, installation of additional water reservoir in health facilities, and reactivation or construction of additional water sources. Sa public safety naman, ang key intervention dito ay yung provision of preventive measures for or against measures against forest fires. Okay. Sa cross-cutting concerns, ito yung mga PPAs, conduct of provincial El Nino forum, so ongoing yan, information dissemination for crop insurance and credits, information and education campaign on El Nino and river basin watershed management na kailangan pa rin nating improve, training on organic technologies relevant to El Nino mitigation, and extension, support, education, and training services activities. So let me assure everyone na ang ating gobyerno ay very much prepared to minimize the El Nino's impacts on the economy and on the lives of vulnerable Filipinos. Thank you for your attention and good morning.
Salamat po, Yusek Navarro. Yusek Kayana ng DA po.
Magandang umaga po at maraming salamat, Asek Tony. Maliban po sa mga nabanggit na po ng other interagency, what they call partners po natin sa pasangay naman po ng DA, ito po ang ating mga El Nino updates. Number one, nabanggit po kanina na nag-start po yan noong September, October of last year. That gives us the reason on why we should manage, plan, and execute well. So, una po ay in-identify po natin kung ano mga areas affected and binalidate din po natin kasi yung reporting at saka yung actual is totally different. That's why we did ground truthing. So, naka-flash po ngayon na for the production loss, hinati-hati po natin or sinegregate by percentage of distribution sa mga regions. Actually, lahat naman po ng region ay naapektuhan, pero makikita nyo po yung percentage kung gaano kalaki at gaano kaliit naman sa mga ibang region. It depends on the site and location specific. So, doon naman po sa isa ay percentage of distribution by commodity. So, easily you will identify that the staple food, I'm referring to rice and corn, rice as our staple food and corn being the food and the feed crop, ay malaki po ang naging epekto. Para sa rice po ay 50.7% at sa corn naman po ay 48.8%. Maaari po niyong tanungin paano tayo nag-arrive dun sa computation na yon. So kung ano po yung annual target natin versus po yung NEDA needs on that particular covering period, pag dinivide po natin at multiply sa 100, that gives you the affected percentage of that commodity. Tinamaan din po naapektuhan din po ang ating high value crops. Marami pong subcomponent ng high value crops. Of course, tinamaan din po ang ating livestock at saka meron din pong naapektuhan sa ating fisheries. So, in terms of what we call the rice, kung mapapansin po ninyo, ang production loss po natin is in terms of peso value. Kasi po, maliban dun sa hectareage, maliban po dun sa yield, ay importante rin po natin na may convert yan in terms of monetary or peso value. Ang production loss po natin is 40.5 billion. Ang area affected po natin is 144,202 hectare. At ang farmers affected, siyempre po, importante sa atin, the goose that lays the golden egg, our farmers, nasa 140,387. At ang volume loss po natin is around 191.761 metric ton out of our target, which is around 20 million metric ton. Sa corn po ay nasa 3.89 billion at ang affected area po natin is 133,000.07 hectares at ang affected farmers po natin ay 105,937. Ang volume loss po natin for corn is 254,766 metric ton out of our target, which is 8.64 million metric ton. So, pag tinanong po natin kung ano po yung total area at risk, we're referring to the hectareage that we are plowing, it's around 1,615,514 hectares. Ang affected po natin ay 227,889 hectares. So, all in all, ang affected area po natin out of the risk is 14.11 hectares. Dumako po tayo sa ating high value crop. Sa high value crop, ang assorted vegetable po natin na affected. Mamaya po ididiinan ko po bakit dinidisaggregate po natin. Kasi doon sa implements, inputs, at saka intervention, meron pong epekto yan. Doon sa assorted vegetable po natin na naapektuhan were the following: squash, sitaw, eggplant, pechay, ampalaya, upo, tomato, sweet potato, okra, hot pepper, mung bean, onion, garlic, snap, and beans. Ano pong common denominator? These are considered to be the cash crop. Ito po yung cash crop natin. Sa fruits naman po, ang lansones, rambutan, watermelon, pineapple. At sa fruit bearing naman po ay ang trees at saka kakao. Sa fisheries po or sa pangisdaan, ang damage produced includes tilapia, bangus, malaga, seaweed, oyster, prawn, and crab. Crab in Ilocos Norte, La Union, Zamboanga, Lanao del Norte, and Misamis Oriental. Medyo meron din pong naapektuhan doon sa livestock po natin. Ang maganda lang po sa livestock natin, because we have a intensified program, ini-encourage po natin na mag-alaga ng mga native. Ang native po kasi natin ay ang immediate effect po ng El Nino dahil sa kakaibang init ay yung sakit sa mga pests and diseases. So in-encourage po natin na sila ay mag-alaga ng mga native dahil resilient po sa sakit ang mga native natin. And crossbreeding, yung pong tinatawag nating native dun sa mga ibang breed will actually get the good character and trait. That is why that makes the breeding more resilient. Ano po ang ating mga naging findings at saka observation? Unang-una, yung mga affected crops po are those planted in the upland areas or areas at the tail end of irrigation at areas with a rain-fed ecosystem. Kasi nga po, medyo yung pag-ulan wala po dun sa area yon. The farmers still planted despite of the advisory na sinasabi po natin na medyo mag-shift tayo ng konti sa ating cropping season dahil meron naman pong input na galing po sa PAGASA na makakatulong at gigiya sa atin sa ating konsiderasyon sa pagde-decide, ay meron pa rin pong nagtanim ng hindi na ayon dun sa ating recommended na cropping pattern. Siyempre po dapat mas maaga tayong magtanim para po yung effect ng El Nino pag vicious na ay yung maturity stage po ng crop natin hindi na kailangan masyadong tubig. Na-advisean din naman po natin sila na because of research, science and technology, meron na po tayong drought tolerant na mga seeds at saka seedlings, yun po ang gamitin para hindi matako sa tubig. So meron pa rin po na nagplant po ng January to early part of February of this year because of the rain experience from December 2018 to January 2019. Partly they are also affected. And insufficient water supply due to depletion of water from the irrigation sources. So ano po ang mga ginawa nating naukol na action base sa ating pagpaplano? Para po sa ating mga crops, nagbigay po tayo ng mga intervention. Around 95.8875 million financial assistance from ACPC was allotted under the SURE or the Survival Recovery Assistance Program that will benefit around 3,835 affected farmers. Kung tutusin po, ito po ay a fractional part lamang ng binanggit kong affected kanina, but still this is a big help. the processing of documents for areas declared under state of calamity due to El Nino, naka-prioritize po lahat yan. At meron pa pong ongoing due to validation, of course. Yung PCIC po or yung Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation paid a total of 632.674 million of insurance to 79,515 affected farmers. And nabanggit po kanina ni Yusek Ador na yung utilization po ng Quick Response Fund, it was really made quick. Talaga pong immediately we made it possibly na ma-access po siya. It's around 600 million for the rehabilitation of areas to be affected by El Nino. Nabanggit din po kanina yung provision po natin ng seed buffer stocking na as and when it will be needed, ready at pwede na po magtanim, may available naman po. So sa crop po, nag-conduct po tayo ng field validation to assess the damages and losses and continuous monitoring of standing crops in areas at risk because those data are very important. Nabanggit po na may babayaran tayong insurance, kailangan po surgical, malaman po natin yan. And the continuous monitoring of affected vulnerable areas through the field validation using drones, UAVs, and the National Agricultural Drought Monitoring using satellite images. Next slide, please. Sa pagdating po sa paghahayupan or livestock, hindi po kahayupan, paghahayupan. Medyo muntik na po. Disease surveillance and monitoring ang ginawa po natin, but constantly po yung mga veterinaryo po natin combined. Hindi lang po yung under sa DA. We have to understand that the DA is now under a devolved setup. Kanya po ang aming domain na hanggang nasa region lang. At ang kakulangan po doon sa ating mga what we call galamay or mga daliri ng ating kamay ay ikino-consider po natin sa paghingi ng tulong sa ating mga extension worker kasama na po ang mga DILG partners natin. So yung disease surveillance po ay ginagawa natin. We conducted prevention. Vaccination is better than cure. So nag-vaccinate po tayo, deworm and vitamin supplementation program. I already informed the body na in-encourage po natin yung mga resilient na native animals to be raised. Tapos po planting of drought-resistant forage. Next slide, please. Pagdating po sa fishery, while there's little that we could do with the high seas, napakalaki po ng karagatan ng ating pong dagat, there's more that we could do with the aquaculture, yung pong nandito sa kalupaan po natin. So, fish health management, continuous monitoring of water quality and fish stock in brackish water and freshwater areas. Ito po yung mga fish pond, yung mga tinatawag nating aquaculture. So we also establish market linkages assistance for emergency harvest. Meron pong mga area na nagpamigay ang BIFAR ng mga tinatawag na aerator. Because kapag po ganitong mga kapanahunan, yung dissolved oxygen ang nagkukulang at yung nagdadulot ng fish kill. So may mga area po na nakapagbigay po tayo ng mga aerators. So deepening of fish pond to promote tidal intrusion and provision of pumps and aerator to increase dissolved oxygen for aquaculture. Next slide, please. Cloud seeding. So, though ito pong cloud seeding ay medyo masalimuot din po, but I will not be going down to the technical. Ang madalas po kasing tinatanong dyan bakit di tayo immediate na nagka-cloud seeding? So, kanina nag-usap po kami ni Yusek Solidum, sabi niya, Yusek, biro lang po to, sabi niya mukhang hindi dapat asin ang binabagsak natin pag nagka-cloud seeding. Dapat agricultural commodity rin. Ano po yun? Ako, paminta raw. And what is the logic behind? Para daw hindi lang bumagsak mabahing, mas malakas yung pressure. Well, cloud seeding is a good scientific practice. Ang importante po kasi rito ay yung kung saan nandoon po yung sufficienting cloud or tinatawag po nating sa Tagalog ay ulap. Kaya yun nga po ang wala kapag El Nino or mostly hindi po ganun ka substantive. Kanya nga po tinitingnan din po natin kung may effect o wala. Pangalawa po, ang kalawakan po natin ay walang kisame, walang downspout, wala rin po siyang tinatawag na gutter na kung saan pwede mong ipabagsak kung saan nangangailangan. Kanya na-mention ko po kanina may naepektuhan din pong mga cash crop. And some of the cash crop during their mature and harvesting period, sila po ay hindi nangangailangan or iniiwasan po nating maulanan dahil mapipinsala. Tulad po ng mga mangga, magkakaroon po ng mga spots yan. So, tinitingnan po natin yung benefit versus yung damage. But of course, na-recognize naman po natin na pagdating ng El Nino, ang pinakamalaking effect dyan ay yung ating major crop, yung rice and corn. So, nag-conduct po tayo ng almost 49 sorties, 53 hours and 28 minutes na na-consume sa pagka-cloud seed po natin, and we found it very effective. May mga record po na kung saan may mga reserva tayo tulad ng Magat Dam na nag-increase po ng around 17.09 meters, though hindi pa rin po ganon sapat yun, at least nakatulong dun sa water level po natin as of May 23, 2019. Next slide, please. Well, this is just a continuation of the cloud seeding operation. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay po. And of course, kanina po nabanggit po ni Yusek Adora na on top of it, there were some targets that we missed due to the damages. Nabanggit na po kanina na may 20 million metric ton po tayong gustong ma-achieve sa rice at 8 point something sa corn. But because of the damages, when you see the difference, that is something that we need to catch up. Yan po ang hahabulin natin. And because of that, yung economic cluster po ay nag-meeting at nagbigay po at nanghingi ng proposal. So ano po ang mga proposal natin para po yung target natin? May kasabihan daw po na kapag nag-set ka ng target, ay hindi mo binabago yung target, kundi yung namamana ang nag-a-adjust. So mag-a-adjust po yung mamamana. So these are the things that we need to be, that needs to be done. Number 1 po yung productivity enhancement, yung target for rice rotation at 42,902 hectares to be harvested on the second semester. So ibig sabihin may catch-up tayong gagawin doon. An expansion area, of course, there are only 2 ways on how to actually catch up. Number 1 is to increase the yield without expanding the area, and the other one is expanding the area, having the yield maintained, and the last one will be the combination of both. So yung expansion area of 100,000 hectares of corn and 100,000 hectares of sorghum for the wet season, planting to be harvested within the second semester. Ano naman pong kinalaman nito? Bakit natin ini-increase yung harvested area natin sa corn at saka po sa sorghum? While corn is practically a feed crop, we have to also understand that ito po ay feed crop natin. Meron po tayo ngayong we want to ease the pressure from corn, kanya tumutulong pong sorghum para mapababa yung production cost po ng pagla-livestock natin. So it has another effect or impact to the other commodity. So yung rice ratooning, that we're in provision of 2 bags of fertilizer with the total budget requirement of 85.8 million pesos, which is suitable for areas with sufficient irrigation. So site and location specific. Kasi po may study po ang PhilRice na kapag tama po ang patabang ginamit or naglagay tayong tamang pataba, at least mag-increase ang yield natin ng 1 to 2 metric ton per hectare. So the corn sorghum expansion will be requesting for a provision of seed and fertilizer amounting to 2 billion, of course, focus on less vulnerable area for production and market linkage at competitive price. So ano po ang mga inaasahan nating output by those intervention? Rice production increment of 1 million metric ton equivalent to 42,902 metric ton valued at 729.3 million. Mapapansin niyo po, it will not actually, it will narrow the gap dun sa target natin na nawala because of that production losses. Sa corn naman po, around 600,000 metric ton valued at 9.1 billion, and sorghum production of around 400,000 metric ton valued at around 6 billion. Sa atin naman pong poultry and livestock, there will be what we call provision for importation of 300 policy-wise. If there is something that we do not want to impress, will be to ask budget that we are not abundant with. Siyempre po, nag-share lahat po ang mga kawani ng gobyerno sa budget, and we just have a what we call budget that is should be shared by all. So sa policy naman po tayo tumingin. So sa strategy po natin sa policy, importation of 300,000 metric tons of corn at zero tariff to be sourced from African swine fever. Kasi nga po, while we are encouraging na mag-import din po tayo for competitiveness value and security value, kaya lang po yung border protection ay kailangan aware din po tayo doon. So, and should not be delivered during the bulk harvest season at the second semester para hindi naman po maapektuhan ng ating mga corn farmers. So, by providing a solution, we do not want to injure the other stakeholders. So, temporary ban and importation of livestock for around 5 months to avoid the ASF affecting the local industry. Na balita na rin po siguro at narinig na ninyo na even the first world country who have the technology ay tinamaan din po like China, Vietnam had been culling right now 1.4 million of their hogs and so combined the breeder, and that will be very challenging. We have the advantage of not having it right now, so we really have to protect it. And sa fishery po, will be the establishment of 300 fish cages per region using ASF loan fund with an estimated production of 96,000 metric ton valued at around 9.98 billion. So kung ibabalita na rin po natin na coming from a negative what they call a unit of measure ng contribution ng fishery, ay hindi naman po siya umabot ng whole number, pero coming from a negative, it's almost approaching to 1 ang kanyang contribution. So continuous monitoring of water quality and fish stock in brackish water and freshwater areas in related or relation to the El Nino effects. So sa kasalukuyan, yun po ang mga kaganapan na nangyayari sa larangan po ng pagsasaka. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat po. Bukas na po ang ating mga guest speaker para sa mga katanungan. Mr. Joseph Morang, GMA 7.
Morning, ma'am. Sa DOST, sa PAGASA po, clarification lang. You mentioned that the onset of the rainy season will be somewhere during the first half of June. Can we elaborate on the point, please?
Sa ngayon po kasi, hindi pa talaga nasa-satisfy yung ating criteria for the onset. And based doon sa ating monitoring, it is likely that the onset will be either during the first week of June or second week of June. That's why it's first half of June. The criteria, by the way, ang criteria po natin sa onset ng rainy season in type 1 climate, these are areas in the western side of the country ay unang-una sa amount po ng ulan. For 5 consecutive days, dapat po ang total na nai-record sa station is at least 25 millimeters of rain. And 3 consecutive days, dapat umuulan, at least 1 millimeter. So aside from that, yung pong southwesterly component ng ating wind. So dapat po parehong masatisfy yung dalawang criteria na yan.
Yung southwestern wind po yung habagat?
Habagat.
So wala pa pong habagat?
Medyo pa bago-bago pa. Hindi pa po
hindi pa siya
continuously ay southwest.
Ma'am, medyo enlighten me lang. When you say western part, you do not mean naman the whole Philippines or just the western part?
Not the whole Philippines because we have 4 types of climate. And type 1 is the one with distinct rainy season which usually start later part ng May hanggang September, which is affected by southwest monsoon.
Alright. So ma'am, for the rest of the country, yung pong onset would be when?
May iba tayong areas like type 4 na whole year ay may ulan.
Okay.
Ganun po yung ano.
So you look at the type 1 to determine
ito yung
whether there's a onset
ito yung
already.
merong talagang distinct yung
Claro.
ano niya, rainy season.
Sige ma'am. Last point. Is this considered late kung first or second week? You mentioned first or
Half.
second half.
First
or
first
second
half.
First half.
First and second week.
Okay. Would you consider that as late already?
Ang normal po natin na based dun sa mga previous onset ay either second half of May hanggang sa first half of June. So within the normal onset.
Within pa rin naman. El Niño notwithstanding, no?
Yeah.
Okay po. Thank you ma'am for your time.
Questions po? Questions po? Sir Joseph po ulit.
Maraming patanong yung officer sa DA.
Yes, sir.
Yung sa swine flu, ASF, no? African swine flu.
Fever,
Or
sir. Fever.
Fever,
Yes.
fever. Well, you mentioned yung sa maling. And are there any products that are affected?
Particularly po pork product and pork processed products, sir.
So yun pong, can you mention is it the brand name? Yung isa?
Well, boss, I should narrow down not on the brand but rather the affected areas po. Kung saan po meron po na affected.
Can we mention it?
Well, for the process one, sir, I want to defer the answering for those the authority one. I'm referring to FDA. Pero nabanggit naman po siguro po nabanggit na ni Yusek Domingo, Eric Domingo of DOH na concurrent po na FDA Director General po ngayon na may nalabas daw po siyang listing ng mga affected country na kung saan nag-originate ng mga processed product na to.
So meaning, sir, if there are products that are from those affected countries that are in the shelves right now, they should be pulled out?
Meron po siyang nilabas na memorandum order which was dated 2018. I'm not sure if it was August or July na sinasabi po niya na kasi doon po nakita na may na-in-announce ang OIE na mga affected areas. So by rule of thumb, immediately because of the border protection that we are actually observing, ay kung ano man po ang mga requirement in order for them to have that entry here ay nag-stop na po siya na nag-i-issue. In other words po, dapat po wala po sa mga shelf po yun.
Wala po. So ibig sabihin, sir, kung may makita kang product na ganun, it should not be there.
Yesterday po, we made nasabi nga po ni Yusek na yung coordination is very important.
Yes.
So the delineation and the coordination, we exercise it. So kapon nakipag-coordinate po tayo sa kanya, kay Yusek Domingo, together with some customs official na another coordination. Number one po, the time frame is of essence, the cutoff.
Okay, cut off.
Yeah, and number two po, yung pong issuance po niya ng kanyang Certificate of Product Registry or CPR, he informed us na iyan po daw ay hindi na po siya nag-issue or nag-stop. So yung makikita po ay confiscation po ang kanilang gagawin po.
So right now, sir, for clarification lang, if
Or
I'm
recall ang tawag.
recall. Okay,
Yeah,
so
sir.
halimbawa, supermarket owner ako and I happen to sell those, I'm sure you know what I'm referring to, no? Dapat i-recall yun.
Correct, sir.
All right, it should be doing that. The DTA should be doing that, no?
Yun po ang laman po ng kanyang memorandum order kahapon na number one, in-inform po yung mga supermarket na kung meron man, voluntary ay i-submit nyo na for them to be packed para po ma-contain natin. And number two, yung pong tinatawag natin nilang enforcement na ibig sabihin na they will visit and they will see for themselves na kung meron o wala. Together with DTI, of course, may coordination din po sila with DTI.
Last question na. So, sir, can you mention the brand ba? Hindi na.
Sir, hindi po
Okay.
kasi kami ang may domain sa mga processed products, sir.
But there are similar products, can we say?
That are obvious that were produced on that affected area or affected country.
So,
sir.
ang criteria natin, pork processed product.
Coming from those affected areas.
Dapat i-pull out dyan. Not just
Yes.
specific to, you know what I'm referring to.
Hindi lang po yung brand na nag-iisa.
Marami yun, sir.
Yes,
Kung
sir.
ganun.
Maaari po, possible, sir. Basta po ang parameter natin. Makikita naman po kasi natin sa manifesto yung source country. So lahat po. At in the first place, sir, because of the issuance po ng CPR at saka other requirements, yung paglo-load pa lang from the country of origin ay dapat ay meron na pong regulation.
I think that's easy to manage, but
That is, sir.
I'm concerned
Yun
about...
nandito, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Meron ba yung dapat product date that I should look from a consumer point of view? May product date ba yan na kailangan kong manufacturing date that I should look at para malaman ko na...
I think that is part of their implementing guidelines right now on how they do it.
But you don't have it? It's with the FDA?
It's the FDA, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Miss Hannah Sancho po, Sunshine Radio.
Hi sir, good morning. Sir, if I'm a consumer sir, tapos nakabili na ako ng mga products, tapos paano ba yan sir itatapon? May tamang paraan po ba ng pagtapon or isi-surrender ito sa kaninong agency po? Or may proper na paraan po ng pagkatapon nito?
Doon po sa mga, I will be speaking in behalf of DA and how do we confiscate and how do we manage yung mga bagay na under sa amin. Of course, pagkatapos po ng seizure ay may distraction procedure yan. So, then FDA knows well kung ano pong gagawin po doon.
Sir, how about dun sa mga consumers na nakain na po nila yung mga products, sir? Hindi sila aware?
Well, ma'am, again...
May ano ba to sa kalusugan nila, sir? Well, hindi naman lahat tao agad-agad nakarating sa kanila yung balita. Kung paano kung nakain nila, sir?
I cannot be an expert in terms of medical practice. Malamang po masasagot pong mabuti ng Department of Health yan. Our pronouncement is that ito pong African swine fever, based on our veterinary expert, affects the hogs, the swine, the breeders, and it cause very, very grave danger. Kanya po ang pinoprotektahan muna po natin yung hog sector. Pero syempre po, anything na may disease, para sa tao, ay yan po yung pinagkakatiwala po natin sa Department of Health.
Sir, example products, sir, yung mga meatloaf, diba? Aside sa meatloaf, ano pa, sir?
Ma'am, uulitin ko po, hindi lang po brand or yung pinanggalingan po niya.
Sample po natin, para maintindihan po ng mga tao, ano po yung mga example ng mga produkto na sinasabi
Tama
natin na
po kayo,
process?
meatloaf, but I refrain from using the brand, of course. Yung mga process na sausage, lahat ng produkto po na merong pork na galing sa affected area po.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am from PTV4.
Hi, sir, for DA. I'm Mela from PTV4. Back to El Nino lang po. It was mentioned earlier na posible pang magtagal yung El Nino hanggang end of the year. Do we have enough funds po? And anong assurance natin, particularly sa mga magsasaka natin na affected talaga ng El Nino?
Well, since El Nino is one of the risks, and risk can be managed, of course, nasabi na po natin kanina, may mga plano po tayong ginawa. Hindi lang po para sa taon na to, because as you could see, it has become a pattern, it has become a phenomenon. Ang banggit nga po kanina ni Yusek Silid, may parang playback. Pini-playback mo na lang post button. But in terms of fund, of course, ulitin ko po, mas gusto po muna nating mag-focus on what we have, the Quick Response Fund, the insurance na kung ano man pong mangyari ay meron pong makukuha na balik ang ating mga farmers in every levels, in every degree. Hindi naman po kailangan na totally ma-damage. Doon sa expected po niya na yield, ay mayroon lang maapektuhan that can be attributed to that. Of course, may study naman tayong ginagawa, ay pwede pong mag-claim. And of course, the policies na sabi nga po natin, tulungan natin like the taxation scheme na pwede nating pababaan ng konti muna para bumaba po yung production cost ng mga gumagamit naman ng mga produktong yun. So, the planning is very important, and part of planning will be policy and how you implement it. And of course, out of that, nag-evaluate po tayo how effective our planning and our implementations are. From then on, the only change that we've been doing will be improvement. Ini-improve po natin palagi together with the other agencies.
Let me give additional assurances na yung El Nino Action Plan being a public investment program considered up to Q4 requirements, or as you mentioned nga at to end of the year. Kaya dapat ma-assure ang lahat, ang ating mga kababayan, na pinaghandaan hanggang end of the year. Pero posible rin na bumaba yung requirements natin, no? So kahit na may figures tayo na merong portions na unfunded at the moment, posibleng bumaba 'yon kasi nga continuously minomonitor natin yung impacts, no? Pero ibig sabihin naghahanda tayo, kaya meron tayong naunang estimates. Now with respect to funding, although labeled ngayon na unfunded, hindi naman ibig sabihin talagang totally wala. Meron kanina akong ipinakita na identification of proposed sources, no? So kasama doon ang NDRM fund, at saka kasama din yung cost sharing with other partners, private sector, at saka ang ating local government units.
Yes, sir. Pakibanggit na lang po ng pangalan.
Hello po, good afternoon. Neil Mercado from Inquirer.net. Sir, balikan ko lang very quickly yung sa temporary ban ng FDA. So, please correct me if I'm wrong, sir. I believe this was issued 2018 pa po. So, ang tanong is, bakit hindi pa na-pull out as early as 2018 yung mga products na tinukay? Kasi may initial list of countries na binigay, na initial ng ban, 2018 September, I think.
Sir, sabi ko nga po kasi ang nag-enforce po kasi doon sa mga pinag-uusapan nating process is FDA. I want to give the courtesy to FDA to answer it. But if you will be asking my opinion, I might not be as intelligent enough to answer it. Pero siguro ito yung oportunidad para masagot bakit. So the answer for that will be i-contain muna natin. That is immediate because this is a national interest. And second, of course, meron naman pong modality like a show cause order from the one who's holding it na kung bakit nasa yan. Kung makapagpakita po siya ng dokumento, then let us inspect the document. Kung wala pong dokumento, then you know where we are leading to. Kanya po, yung mga problema po kasi oportunidad yan para makita natin what are the clauses para masagot po natin yung mga tanong.
Questions po. Miss Bernadette Nicolas, Business Mirror.
Hi, sir. Sir, there is a press release today which has a part stating that DOF approves importation of 300,000 metric tons of corn from US. Does this pertain to the duty-free imports? Did DOF allow the duty-free or zero tariff imports, and what countries can we source the additional corn po? Thank you.
Yeah, actually, yan po ay isa sa mga nirequest ng ating kalihim during the economic development, which I just presented a while ago, to lessen the pressure, of course, and also to support for the livestock sector to be competitive. I mean, in decreasing, kasi po almost 65% ng kanilang costs, feed inputs po yan eh. So, I think the economic cluster found merit on it. And there is what you call a provision on how we could adjust it. Meron po kasi tayong tinatawag na 5% for the ATIGA. I'm referring to the ASEAN member state. Meron din po tayong 35, which is actually the MAV, and the 50% for the most favored nation. So, ang ginalaw po doon na binabaan, yun nga pong country outside ASEAN, baka yun po yung nabanggit ninyo, then the intent is just to help temporarily. At maliwanag po to, timing is of essence. Dapat po dumating to bago mag-harvest ang ating mga corn producers. Otherwise, we will be injuring the other what they call stakeholders.
Sir, so approved po ng DOF to?
If that was part of this what they call press statement, mukha pong na-approve po.
Okay po. Sige po.
Yes.
To Ms. Navarro po, ma'am, you mentioned po that NEDA is estimating 0.21 percentage points of that in the first semester GDP growth po due to El Nino phenomenon po. So, are we still on track on our GDP growth target or kahit yung lower end po na 6% po for the full year of 2019 po?
Yes, oo. Actually, 6 to 7% range, no? And kung ma-implement natin itong mga interventions na ito, talagang we're confident na we will be within the 6 to 7% GDP growth range.
Kahit po na merong effect yung reenacted budget or yung tension sa US-China trade war and yung possibility po na mag-extend pa yung El Nino phenomenon, we are still confident po that we
Yes,
can hit the 6% lower end po.
Okay, yes. So with respect to El Nino, we are implementing interventions and we are finding sources for those which are not funded right now in the agency's regular budgets. And with respect naman to the effects of the reenactment of the 2018 budget, no, kakatapos lang ng pagpupulong ng mga critical agencies in implementing a catch-up plan or a catch-up program. And ito yung mga infrastructure agencies, DPWH, DOTR, and nagkaroon din ng, so that happened during the Economic Development Cluster meeting, yung Cabinet Cluster for Economic Development. And then nagkaroon din ng hiwalay na pagpupulong with the Department of Agriculture para naman sa kanilang catch-up plan. And the intent really is to accelerate the implementation of programs and projects, no, na medyo na-delay because of the budget reenactment. So, papabilisin on the ground kung may mga permits na kailangan na i-compel yung permit giving entities na pabilisin, and kung may mga kailangan na 24/7 construction ay gagawin. So those kinds of very detailed activities will be undertaken on the ground and guided ito by an overall catch-up plan.
Thank you po.
Questions pa po? Mr. Joseph Marang, GMA 7.
Kaya I understand that the DA, FDA, and the hog industry met yesterday. Can we know the output? Tama ba? Kapon ba yun? Or for today ba lang yun?
I think the other day, sir.
What was the output, sir?
Because we are exercising participatory governance, being a democratic country, the secretary resorts on asking for consultation because those who will be affected are the hog sector on how to further give us what they call suggestions to protect our border protection. Kasi po, sabi ko nga po, nung una, mangilan-ngilan lang. Ngayon ay 16 na po yatang bansang affected. That includes China and Hong Kong and even Vietnam. So it is not only challenging but it's already alarming. And considering na sabi nga po yung effect po kasi nito sa mga ating baboy ay mabilis po. Talaga pong pag naapektuhan, magmamanifest sa itsura niya, mabilis ang pagkamatay, massive. We do not want to sacrifice a 200 billion what we call industry. Kanya ho nagkonsulta po ang ating kalihim sa mga hog sector, and this will be a form part of our biosecurity measures that he will be releasing.
Wala ba po yun, sir, ngayon?
Well, we have to understand that while we are doing this, there are other stakeholders which might not be having the same interest. So we need to consult them also. Kasi po, di po ba, alam naman po natin na lahat yan ay stakeholders natin. Kanya kailangan din po, para pag hinarmonize natin yung guide. Sa ngayon po, hindi pa po tapos yung guidelines.
So wala po tayong you use the word alarming, and then there are more countries now, and then medyo quick yung effect. Any immediate actions that we are going to put in place?
Meron na po, tulad po nung kung mapapansin ninyo, hindi lang po concern sa mga dala, pati po yung tao, nagpalagay tayo ng footbath sa mga ports natin, major port of entry. Number 2 po ay, kung narinig nyo, nagpa-train ang ating kalihim ng mga sniffing dog. Because sometimes it might not be visible to the human eye, but the dog, ay pag immediately po, na-train siyang mabuti doon, medyo mas mataas po ang confidence natin na walang makakalusot.
The dogs can sniff out what?
The pork.
Yung pork.
Pangatlo po ay he even proposed na magkaroon din po ng X-ray ang ating mga quarantine officers at ating quarantine officers para naman po may level of confidence din po tayo na nakikita sa X-ray. So there are level series of what we call and stages of biosecurity measures that we're trying to implement right now.
Are we limiting or are we banning importation?
Well, for those that were affected, sir, of course, may ban po ang tawag doon. It's not limiting ban.
Ban.
Total
Meron
ban.
na po tayong in place, no?
There is.
Since when, sir?
Hindi ko lang po alam yung eksaktong date. Yung BAI po ay nag-issue. Para pong yatang last year, meron na pong naka-issue.
Yung po 2018, you said?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Up
sir.
to when?
Hanggat hindi po na-announce that they are free of those diseases.
So meanwhile, our supply, local supply, is good in terms of the number, and then are they safe from the swine flu?
Isa pa rin po sa iminiting natin, the Secretary wants to know that if we are secure in terms of the local supply, so ginaranti naman po ng ating mga hog sector that they will be able to supply the local demand po.
Could you be able to give us the number of the
Hindi ko
demand?
lang po
and then
dala
the-
ngayon yung ating
So there should parang wala, sir, dapat kumbaga price hike. Kasi you know how businessmen can exploit yung mga ganitong...
Yun nga pong napapag-usapan namin kanina prior to this, then that's something that we really have to look out also the speculations.
Pero dapat wala.
Dapat po.
Hindi po magmamahal yung karne.
Hindi naman po dapat. Opo.
Okay, sir.
Questions pa po? Wala na po. Other issue po?
Other issues, sir, since nandito na si ASEC, sir, just would like to know how much the government will spend for the trash of Canada's trash, yung sa shipment, DOF.
Hindi ko po alam. I have to check and I'll get back to you. Thank you.
Questions pa po? Wala na po.
As long as alam ko po.
Sir, baka alam mo lang, yung sa PCGG, ang sabi ng COA is that they're waiting for the president's signature, no? To give a go signal to the sale of the Hawaii jewelry of the Marcoses. Would you know, sir, kung may recommendation or may ganong letter that was sent to the DOF, ES, and then OP? And if there are any actions?
Hindi ko po alam. I've been focused 120% on the syntax advocacy sa Senado po. So, tatanong ko rin po and I'll let you know if
Kaya
may
kagatin
update.
namin yung syntax mo. Sir, very short time na lang sa Congress. Are you still confident that they will... Tapos meron pa tayong vacation ng
Wednesday.
5, so minus 1 day ka.
Yes.
Ano pong... Senate na lang naman yung hinihintay, sir?
Ang hinahantay po natin ay matapos yung period of interpellation which is ongoing, that will move to the period of amendment at kung magsara po yun ay maaari na pong bumoto ng second and third reading on the same day dahil nga po nag-issue na po ng Certificate of Urgency si Pangulong Duterte kahapon. At kung papayag po ang lower house at nasabi naman po ni Speaker Arroyo na kung may version po ang Senado na pwede nilang i-adapt, ay ma-adapt na po nila para wala na hong BICAM, ay may path to passage pa po tayo within the 17th Congress. And we would really like both the Universal Healthcare Law and the means of financing it through this syntax law to be the legacy of the 17th Congress.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Marami pong salamat sa ating mga panauhin ngayong umaga. Maraming salamat po Asik Lambino at MPC. Balik po sa PTV4 at Radyo Pilipinas.